a world veiled in silence, remnants of what was once a bustling tapestry of humanity spread out like faded photographs crumbling in a forgotten attic. Nature had reclaimed the chaos. Trees sprouted defiantly through asphalt, vines snaked over rusted cars, and flowers danced freely in the gentle breeze, painting the desolation with bursts of color. The echoes of human laughter had been silenced, replaced by the quiet whispers of wind, the scuttling of creatures, and an occasional distant hoot from owls patrolling their moonlit dominions. In the faded remnants of a small town, nestled between overgrown hedges and concrete buildings shedding years of disrepair, one house still carried a semblance of warmth. It had stood the test of time and adversity, defying the fate that had befallen the rest of the world. Inside, the light was dim but flickered with a goldino hue, and from within, the aroma of freshly baked bread wafted, inviting and homely. This was a sanctuary for the last living soul of humanity, a young woman named Lila. Lila was 23, though under the constant weight of solitude, she had grown beyond her years. Her hair, the color of midnight, hung in loose waves, and her sun-kissed skin bore witness to many days spent tending to her small garden outside the house. The kitchen was her sanctuary, and it was here that she often vanished into daydreams, humming tunes only she could recall, melodies of a time when families gathered around dinner tables, children played in fields, and dreams colored the sky with promise. The world had turned against humanity, and in its ruthless grip, humanity had ceased to exist for Lila. She often found herself reminiscing about soft echoes, voices of the people she loved, her mother's laughter as they baked together, father's soothing tone reading bedtime stories, and the rustling of her brother's feet as he rushed to join her in their games. Those memories flickered in her mind like fireflies lighting up the depths of a darkened forest. Yet, in the slivers of her memory, in the corners filled with whispered love and familial warmth, a talisman of connection shone brightly, an old teddy bear. With patches on its worn-out fur, it was the first gift her father had bought for her, an embodiment of comfort amidst the storm. Cuddled on a makeshift bed, constructed from old cushions, the only semblance of her childhood left, Lila had often found solace beside it. The bear bore witness to her whispered secrets, her hopes, and the longings of a girl who had once known laughter such as the sun. "Papa," she murmured, resting the soft toy against her cheek, "do you remember when you brought me here? We promised we'd venture to the sun tomorrow." The replica of a dream lost to time and circumstance. With a subtle shake of her head, as if to dismiss her sadness, Lila stood up and made her way to the kitchen. Always bubbling with newfound energy, she rolled up her sleeves and set to work. Kneading dough was a ritual. She cherished her hands, sinking deeply into the soft mixture, channeling her soul through each fold and twist, like nature regenerating after a fire. It was during one such cozy afternoon that an unusual sound gripped her attention. A soft knock echoed against the wooden door, an unheard greeting in a world painted with silence. Lila hesitated. Knocks were absent from her days, like splashes of color on a canvas of monotony. Curiosity took the reins of her caution, drawing her to the door that was more a burden than an opening to the world. Carefully, she slid the door open, heart pounding in her chest. A small creature, a sparrow, no higher than the length of her palm, perched on the threshold. Its wings fluttered gently in rhythm with the fading afternoon light. Lila's heart soared. She had not seen a bird in months. She knelt, allowing herself to marvel at its delicate form, the way the sunlight kissed its feathers, illuminating them like jewels. "Hello, little friend," Lila cooed softly. The sparrow chirped, as if whispering secrets of the sky, and for a moment, Lila felt the warmth of connection, a bridge to the world that had long shriveled away. With hopeful hesitance, she stretched her hand forward, allowing the tiny creature to hop aboard. The sparrow settled on her outstretched finger, its vivaciousness catching the breath in Lila's throat. "You're an adventurer, aren't you?" She chuckled, charmed by the spark of life. "I wish I could be like you, soaring over the abandoned buildings." Each day now felt heavy with solitude, But with this comforting little guest, Lila felt a spark ignite. She retreated with the bird into her haven of comforts, a warm frown of determination sewn across her brow. "Come on. Let's make this place feel alive, shall we?" She turned on the radio that had been gathering dust, the first flicker of sound echoing from a world that had forgotten human footprints. Old tunes poured forth, and as she baked in rhythm with classics of yesteryears, the little bird warbled along. Leela and the sparrow became an inseparable duo, transforming days that blended into one another into vivid tapestries of laughter, song, and fragrant breads. She named the little creature Sky, a name that encompassed their dreams of flight and adventure. Conversations flowed effortlessly, woven together from stories of the past and dreams of what lay beyond the rusted fences and overgrown streets. As days turned into weeks, Lila nurtured dreams of reopening old pathways, creating a life not steeped in despair, but rather a fabric stitched with possibility. She claimed the debris-filled streets as her canvas and began to reclaim the forgotten garden that lay just outside the door. Leela and Sky worked tirelessly, planting seeds into the rich soil that once teemed with life. With each sprout that broke through, hope perched on the edges of possibility, and Lila felt warmth blossom within, almost as if humanity whispered in her ear, reminding her that she wasn't entirely alone. And so the garden flourished, bright pom-poms of color, harmonizing with the song the sparrow sang every morning, inviting other creatures to join the symphony of life. But as the sun cast long shadows, and the sky deepened into twilight hues, Lila often found herself gazing into the distance, wondering about the tales hidden in the silence. Her heart implored her to find out if she truly was the last. Any linger of survivors entwined in the whispers of the wind. Would she still search for some semblance of familiar laughter beyond her comforting little home? As she contemplated the unseen corners of the world around her, the promise of adventure hung in the air like the sweet scent of flowers unfurling in spring. The world outside bristled with untold mysteries, and Lila, with her faithful companion always at her side, knew that her heart called for more than just existence. It beat for connection, for remembering, for hope. That night, under a blanket of stars that twinkled like lost memories scattered across the sky, Lila cradled Sky close, feeling the warmth that existed despite the darkness that had enveloped the world. She had a purpose, a drive to uncover the truth of her kind, truth that humanity might echo in some distant place, an echo waiting to be discovered. And when dawn breaks, stepping outside into a world humming with vulnerability and courage, Lila took a breath as the soft sounds of hope carried her heart into the dawn of hot possibility. As days turned into weeks, the little house at the end of Lila Street became a beacon of color amidst the surrounding desolation. The garden, once a mere outline of weeds and dust, was transformed into a riotous explosion of life. Daisies, sunflowers, and wild violets burst forth from the ground, each petal whispering tales of resilience and hope. Lila's heart thrummed steadily, cradled by the nurturing rhythm of the seasons as she cared for her plants alongside Sky. The bond between them deepened, turning from mere companionship into an intricate dance of mutual encouragement. Sky wasn't just a bird, he was Lila's little muse. In moments of stillness beneath the indigo sky, she would confide in him the secrets of her heart's longings for connection, the memories that echoed like a soft song, and the seeds of dreams she had yet to plant beyond her cozy sanctuary. On some days, she would watch as the sparrow flitted around her in circles, a playful camaraderie that made her chuckle and feel less alone. But it wasn't just Lila and Sky who were touched by the revival of the garden. The magic reached into the nearby woods, spreading silently like roots in fertile soil. Animals once skittish grew bolder, drawn to the lively colors blooming in her backyard. Squirrels scurried through the trees, rabbits made daring visits to nibble on the edges of her lush garden, and the chorus of crickets inhaled the steady rhythm of everyday life. One misty morning, Lila woke before the sun had fully decided to grace the sky. The air was filled with anticipation, a gentle clarity that sparked her spirit. She slipped into her worn gardening boots and grabbed a basket, ready to gather what offerings the garden had for her breakfast. As she munched on freshly picked strawberries and savored the sweetness of the sun-warmed fruit, a thought flitted through her mind. What if she shared this bounty with the world? What if she could create something beautiful from her little heaven that would reach out like hands into the still empty streets? With renewed purpose, she set to work. She carefully picked bundles of vibrant blooms and arranged them into makeshift bouquets. Slowly, the idea began to take shape in her mini market, an invitation for the world outside to remember the kindness of sharing, to rekindle friendships that lay dormant in the shadows. Emboldened, Lila placed the flowers and fruits outside her porch and made a modest sign that read, "Free for neighbors." Perhaps there were people left who remembered the simple joys a taste shared, laughter exchanged, and stories told. The thought sent a hopeful flutter through her chest, igniting a spark of courage she hadn't felt in a long time. As the early sun began to slice the horizon with shades of pink and gold, Lila settled on her porch, a warm cup of herbal tea cradled in her hands. She watched the colors shift, thoughts swirling like clouds in her mind. Sky chirped delightedly, flitting about the porch, as if encouraging her to take the leap of faith. His assurance wrapped around her like a soft blanket, grounding her in the moment. As the morning unfolded, the busy hum of nature enveloped her. Then, as if in response to her heartfelt intention, a figure appeared in the distant shadows, morphing into form. Lila's heart raced, a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through her veins. A man, older, dressed in faded clothing that told tales of simple lives lived, ambled down the road toward her home, eyes drawn to the vibrant display she had crafted on her porch. He paused, taking in the colorful bouquets. Lila could see the joy bathe his face, radiant against the canvas of his weathered skin. Summoning a kind smile, she waved. "Good morning," she called out, her voice quivering with both eagerness and disbelief. The words unfurled into the air, mixing with laughter from Sky, who danced across her shoulders. The man's eyes lit up as he approached. "Now, this is a lovely sight. I've lived in this neighborhood all my life, and I can't remember the last time I saw flowers gracing these roads. They've become ghosts of a past we all thought was lost." "Please, they are yours," Lila replied gently, a warm current coursing through her. "I wanted to share them with anyone who might need a touch of beauty." She gestured toward the small arrangement of fresh strawberries next to the flowers, her heart swelling with excitement. "Is this how you bring life back to a forgotten place?" he teased lightly, his eyes wrinkling with mirth. "Who would have thought a single soul could ignite a flame in such a cold world? It's like you turned the season back to spring." His name was Arthur, and with each word exchanged between them, Lila felt a yearning for connection rekindle. He shared stories of his days, tales filled with humor, but also tinged with the ache of loss. The quiet town had once buzzed with laughter and life, people willing to share in the warmth of community. But those days were long gone, one by one stripped away, leaving only husks, a memory of what had once been. With each story, Lila felt the walls she had built around her heart soften. As they spoke, Sky chirped a soft melody, and an invisible bond began to weave between Arthur and Lila. They found laughter over shared memories, reliving moments that had been precious to them both. Stories of family, of fun, of kindness slipped away, though they were years apart in age and life experience. They were equally grounded by the burden of solitude. As days turned into weeks, Arthur returned, carrying the light of camaraderie with him. Each visit became a moment of magic. The porch transformed into a gathering place where they shared cups of tea, thoughts of a higher world, and the bounties of the garden. Lila learned from his wisdom, and he relearned joy from her laughter, slowly stitching their lives together with gentle conversation and shared meals. During one golden sunset, Lila found herself arranging a bouquet, while Arthur roasted sweet potatoes over the fire pit they had set up just beside the garden. The earthy aroma mixed with the perfume of flowers blooming all around them. There was warmth in knowing, tender moments when they didn't have to say anything at all, just engulfed in the comforting presence of each other. Suddenly, Sky flew up and began circling overhead in excitement. Lila stepped out of the fading light, mesmerized by its energetic flurry. Arthur turned, laughing. What is it, little friend? Have you spotted something thrilling on the horizon? In that very instant, when they collectively searched the sky, an unassuming figure emerged in the distance. A girl, perhaps in her teens, had wandered down the creaky path, her silver hair flowing freely, her face a picture of curiosity. There was a hint of danger in her posture, as if she didn't quite belong, yet her presence emanated an energy that matched the vibrancy of the garden. "Hey!" Leela called out, hope blooming in her chest. "You're welcome here. Come closer." Sky, perched on her shoulder, sang out as if urging the girl to take that first step. The girl hesitated before approaching the porch, her eyes darting between Lila and Arthur. When she reached the threshold, she turned to Lila and whispered, "Is this free?" "Absolutely," Lila beamed, heart expanding as she moved aside, spreading her arms in an inviting gesture. "The garden is here to be shared. Would you like to take some home, Mandaya Shral?" The girl's eyes widened, her fingers trembling slightly as she gathered a handful of vibrant blooms. Leela watched as the girl seemed to vibrate with newfound energy and expression of discovery, burgeoning as though she had found something she thought lost forever. Imnora, the girl finally introduced herself, her voice carrying a gentle timidity amidst the laughter that danced through the air. I thought I was the last remaining here," with phrases sewn together, Lila shared. Glimpses of her story just as she had with Arthur, and they added to their newfound thread of kinship. In those moments, bonds expanded, creating not just a garden of flowers, but a garden of connectivity where stories wove through laughter and kindness, breathing life back into hope. Days turned into nights filled with shared dishes, beautiful stories, and the gentle awe of newfound connections. As Leela's heart blossomed, laughter danced through the air and reached the very roots of her soul. Their small assembly became a group, relying on each other through the weight of history. 3 people, rebuilding solace in a world once desolate. Each day unfurled a sense of community that blossomed with Lila's growing heart. People who once walked by her home without a second thought started to appear, drawn by the floral display on her porch. Once nameless faces transformed into friends, each bringing stories of loss and resilience, each seeking warmth in a world that had grown cold. With Sky as their joy-bringer, they gathered in the garden playing games, swapping anecdotes and cooking meals that invigorated their spirits. They painted their surroundings with laughter, stitching one another's stories together like a patchwork. The sorrow that had once gripped their hearts lengthened and loosed its hold, allowing kindness to replace the weight of solitude. But as they wove this fleeting tapestry of life, there loomed an underlying tension. The walls of their world were thickening. Whispers of threats began to drift through the streets. A rumor of raiders, people driven by desperation and greed, drifted into their lives like an unwelcome chill, igniting a spark of fear. One evening when the sun dipped low and a heavy stillness descended, Lila stepped outside, a frown etched across her brow. Sky rustled uneasily, sensing the shift in the air, while Arthur and Nora clutched each other's hands, their eyes shadowed with anxiety. The beauty they had nurtured now felt precarious, as if their fragile community hung on the edge of uncertainty. "Should we prepare?" Leela asked. What if her voice trailed off, filled with the weight of an impending storm? What if they come for what we've built together? Arthur's eyes, usually bright with laughter, darkened with thought, but he squeezed Lila's hand. "Then we prepare together. We might be few, but together we are stronger than the shadows that threaten to overtake us. Community is our shield, and kindness our weapon. We will not cower under the weight of fear." With each word, a new resolve grew, wrapping their hearts in strength. The garden filled with the unspoken promise of unity and connection, they forged plans to defend their little slice of hope. As they sat among the flowers, laughter subsiding to a quiet strength, they began planting seed sounds that would ensure their legacy continued, no matter what darkness rumbled in the distance. As twilight wrapped itself around them like a shroud, Lila turned to look at her friends, her heart swelling with gratitude. In the face of uncertainty, they had weathered the storm together, drawing strength from one another. Together they would protect the beauty they had nurtured, confirming that even in a fractured world, love and connection could still find a way to flourish. The garden, once a simple act of sharing, had transformed into the cradle of their futures, forging bonds that would resonate far beyond the laughter shared and friendships forged. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to dance in the ebony sky, Lila prepared to embrace the unknown that unfolded just before them. The promise of enduring strength lay ahead, holding on to unity in the face of adversity, where love would bloom far and wide. The finale of their story lingered on the cusp of dawn, echoing with anticipation. The sun rose gently over the horizon, casting a warm golden light that spilled across the garden, where blossoms swayed softly, each petal shimmering like a vibrant promise. Lila stood in the midst of her treasured oasis, the heart of her newfound community, and felt the day's first rays upon her skin. She inhaled deeply, savoring the sweet perfume of the flowers. It had been weeks since Arthur and Nora had joined her, and in that time the little family they had formed around the garden had flourished, its roots growing deeper, its branches extending wider. Yet, even amidst this tranquility, the specter of danger loomed ever closer. The rumors of raiders swirled like dark clouds, threatening to shroud the sunshine their community had cultivated. Each night, they would gather on Lila's porch, the air thick with both laughter and worry, sharing stories about the past, about who they were before forging bonds through their vulnerabilities. "Let's host a garden festival," Lila suggested one evening, her eyes glinting with hope. "We can invite anyone who wants to celebrate. It'll be a gathering of unity and joy, and a defiance against fear." To her surprise, the reaction was immediate and electric. Arthur's eyes twinkled with mischief, and Nora bounced in place, her voice filling the air with enthusiasm. "Yes. Well, invite everyone, the neighbors, the families, the children. We'll fill this garden with so much laughter that it will echo like music into the night." So it was decided. They set to work. Their little community became a whirlwind of activity, gathering supplies and planning. Posters, crafted from discarded cardboard and adorned with sketches of flowers and sunshine, sprung up to announce the festival. Children from surrounding homes joined the cause, their youthful laughter infectious as they painted the signs and made fruit skewers of the sweet offerings from Lila's garden. Adult volunteers wove bright garlands of flowers to drape around the trees. Even the local birds seemed to know something joyous was about to unfold, joining in with a symphony that filled the air. As the day of the festival approached, Lila felt an exhilarating mixture of excitement and apprehension. Her vision of communities gathering in harmony was coming to life, but in the back of her mind, that whisper of doubt clung tightly. What if the raiders chose this moment to strike? And yet every time she felt that twinge of fear, she could see her friends, their determination, the laughter that rang like bell sound. She found the courage to push it aside. On the morning of the festival, the sun graced the sky with its brilliance as laughter blossomed forth like the flowers around them. Villagers, families and individuals who had been wandering the desolation found their way to Lila's garden. The transformation was magical. Where once lay shadows, now stood color and life, every corner of the garden echoing with voices that joined in clarity. Lila took a moment to observe. Children raced through the paths of flowers, belly laughs harmonizing with the rustling leaves. Families gathered around tables laden with bounty, exchanging recipes and sharing stories. It was a kaleidoscope of beauty, and amidst it all was the unmistakable scent of hope, spiced with that sense of belonging. Arthur had gathered musicians to joyful souls with guitars and a wooden drum to play, soft melodies that prompted impromptu dancing among the visitors. Nora, energized by the festival spirit, took the reins of organizing games for the children, laughter radiating from the younger ones as they chased one another, their excitement unearthing a brightness that warmed the air. Lila felt her heart swell with the togetherness around her. As she moved among her friends and neighbors, her chest fluttered with the realization that their community was becoming a tapestry of resilience and love. They were all linked by shared experience, stitched together by kindness, with Lila as the thread weaving them closer. As the sun dipped low, casting the world in a diamond hue, the festival took on a life of its own. They gathered everyone under the large oak tree at the heart of the garden. Children climbed onto makeshift platforms, eager to share songs or recite a poem, while adults congregated together, reminiscing and sharing tales of hope and survival. It was then that a hush fell upon the crowd, a ripple of anticipation spreading across the faces, and Lila felt her heart race. This moment called for sharing her journey story of the garden, the community, and the bonds they were forging. "Thank you," she began softly, her voice wavering slightly before gaining strength. "Thank you for being here tonight, for choosing community, for believing in one another." She gestured to Arthur, and then to Nora, who took a half step forward to stand beside her, radiant with hope. "We have come so far, and tonight is a testament to what we can accomplish when we work together," Arthur continued, his voice steady and reassuring. "We're redefining what it means to be alive, to not just exist, but to truly live and thrive in this world, no matter the darkness that may lurk. Together, we refuse to be silenced. Together, we grow." The crowd erupted in applause, hearts lifting as the warmth of shared understanding enveloped them in a held breath of resilience. Nora, surprise glinting in her eyes, took her turn, speaking with youthful determination. "We've turned this garden into a home, a true sanctuary. And fairy tales, they aren't just made up, they're alive in the choices we make to love each other." As their words circled overhead like a worship, Lila felt her heart warm as she saw the faces of neighbors transform, ignited by an ember of connection, a flame encouraging growth. The collective energy thrummed through them, a shared vision pulsing to life as hands linked, forming a circle under the expansive shade of the great oak tree. And that was when it happened. From the corner of the festival, tension unfurled as a shadow stretched, pulled taut across the gathering. The air stilled, whispers flickered through the crowd. It was the Raiders. The stories had been true. A group of masked figures emerged from the thinning twilight, their figures dark against the vibrant backdrop of festivities, eyes glinting with greed beneath the masks. Gasps rippled through the gathering, fear gripping the hearts of many. Lila's pulse quickened as instinct punched her gut. The music ceased, laughter halted, and the essence of togetherness wavered, hanging by a fragile thread. "Stay close," Arthur shouted, a solid anchor to them all as he positioned himself protectively in front of Lila. But in that critical moment, Lila felt something deep swell within, swift as the wind, but weighted with purpose. She gripped Sky, who darted nervously between her fingers, but finding her courage, she stepped forward, heart pounding in her chest, resolute. She refused to let fear overshadow what they had built together. The air crackled around them. The Raiders paused, eyebrow arched in surprise at the sight of the gathering people hand in hand, body to body, united in the face of fear. In that instant, Lila found her voice, steady and unwavering. "We share our home with kindness. We stand united against despair. You are welcome to partake in our joy, but not to shatter our spirit." The words hung in the air, tinged with the weight of vulnerability, yet enveloped in strength, honor, and conviction. Lila's heartbeat echoed, wrapping them all in a shield of light. The masked figures hesitated, their eyes darting from Lila to the crowd behind. Her fair. As she met their gaze, she saw the glimmer of desperation, shadows murky, but not devoid of humanity. Her heart skipped, recognizing that they were lost souls, swept up in a tide of chaos much like they had once been. "Join us, please," she called, voice unwavering. "If you are hungry, feast with us. If you're weary, rest with us. Let us show you the warmth that belongs to a community, not the chaos of greed." For a heartbeat, everything hung in the balance, their pulse racing, the crowd filling with quiet anticipation. And the Raiders glanced at one another, their armor cracked slightly, revealing gazes tinged with doubt. Lila's heart raced, aware that this was a crossroad for both sides, poised precariously on a fragile edge. One of the Raiders raised his hand, and Lila noticed the bare skin beneath the mask, a reminder of a shared humanity, buried beneath the choices they made. What do you have to offer? He questioned, voice laced with disbelief. In kindness, in community, in sharing hope, Lila replied sincerely, her breath steadying as she stepped closer. You have faced darkness, only you can choose to shine a light. Here, you have allies. You have friends. You are not alone. The words wove through the crowd like an unseen thread, creating an awareness that had been silenced for too long. Slowly, as if nurtured by Lila's courage, the raiders began to drop their weapons, the harsh line of tension beginning to erode, replaced by something softer, the faintest glimmers of understanding. Us. They took slow, tentative steps toward the makeshift tables laden with food. Something remarkable happened. Gathered hands reached out, offering plates of food, slices of bread, and vibrant fruits each, one presenting little tokens of connection in a world that had long forgotten kindness. With shared conversations igniting sparks of warmth, barrier after barrier disintegrated. The dark masks began to fade, revealing faces etched with worries, and fierce all people who had once walked with wet uncertainty, longing for that same flame of belonging Lila and her friends had kindled. They became allies against their insecurities. Lila watched, heart thrumming, as her community welcomed the newcomers with open arms. Children, unaware of the shadows that nearly disrupted their celebration, approached with curious smiles and offered strawberry skewers to the raiders, the once ominous figures, now laughing hesitantly, crumbling under the weight of compassion. The festival transformed just as the garden had, a new tapestry blending into the already vibrant landscape. Debates turned into laughter, kindness celebrated over bowls of fragrant stew, as all their lives intertwined before her. Night fell gently, stars dotting the sky like diamonds against a backdrop of velvet, and love began to weave its beautiful song again, wrapping every heart like a comforting embrace. Lila felt tears threaten at the corners of her eyes as she stepped back to admire the work of their collective hands. Community reborn through acceptance. As the evening drew on and joyous dancing took to the courtyard, Lila felt her soul fill. They were no longer just survivors in a bleak world. They had become architects of their fate. They proved that even amidst struggle, kindness could flourish, that community could prevail, a garden nurtured not just in soil, but in hearts. With Sky contently nestled on her shoulder, she looked around, savoring the moment. A picture of joy painted in vivid colors. The tapestry of lives stirred into one. In that fleeting moment, she found the purpose that her heart had always whispered, and it resonated throughout the garden and its flourishing bonds, bringing warmth back into the world. Amidst the laughter and music that swirled around her, Lila found her friends, arms linked, their eyes sparkling with the remnants of disbelief and elation. They were a beautiful patchwork, now a family of varying backgrounds and stories, united in hope. What do you think the world will be like tomorrow? Nora asked, eyes wide with wonder. Lila smiled, the warmth of gratitude wrapping around her tenderly. I don't know, love. But if we continue to plant kindness and share laughter, it will surely be brighter than before. As the night deepened, they shared their hopes and dreams, the seeds of their stories blending into an unbreakable bond. Moments danced together like the stars above, shimmering with promise and joy, counting into infinity, reminding them of the fair. Resilience carried witness through every breath, spreading warmth far and wide. And so, within the heart of a little garden, a place where nature thrived and community blossomed, Lila and her friends determined to nurture the roots they had planted, forge deeper connections, and celebrate the love that could conquer even the dark shadows lingering in the world. As the fire crackled and their laughter floated into the night, the garden stood as a beacon of resilience, a symbol of hope. The sunlight would rise again, and with it, the promise of another day, a fruitful union of kindness, love, acceptance, and the magic of community that would forever bloom, reaching far into the future. Lila realized in that moment that every new dawn born was but a continuation of the tales shared, a chapter concluding, and another beginning, an embrace of growing together, side by side, heart in heart, rooted forever in the love that bound them all.